and by mid-2004, Al-Qaeda in Iraq, or AQI, had emerged as the most ruthless. Composed mainly of tribal youths but led by outsiders, AQI summarily executed any sheikh who opposed its wishes and declared that its emirate would be ruled from Ramadi, a city of 400,000, 60 miles northwest of Baghdad along the banks of the Euphrates. In 2005, the arch-terrorist Abu Musab al-Zarqawi preached in a mosque in the city and narrowly avoided capture twice. In early 2006, the sheikhs in Ramadi agreed that their followers could join the local police. Al-Qaeda responded by murdering several sheikhs and killing more than 50 recruits. So in September 2006, when a mid-level and rather obscure sheikh named Abu Risha Sattar urged the tribes around Ramadi to rebel against Al-Qaeda, he wasn't given much chance of succeeding. Things looked bleak in Al Anbar, while to the east, Baghdad was falling apart. In Washington, the press and the administration believed the war was lost. The first half of Daly's book graphically depicts why. He describes the frustration of undertaking patrol after patrol, all the while knowing the unseen enemy is watching every move of his Marines and deciding when and how to attack. The rough rule of thumb was that every soldier or Marine in a line unit patrolled outside the wire at least once a day. Many units cycled between internal guard and maintenance duties and external patrols. In a rifle company, each squad conducted one dismounted or mounted 6-hour patrol each day or night. That was a heavy grind after 3 or 4 months. It was much harder for the soldiers with 12 to 15-month rotations than for the Marines with 7 to 10 months. Iraq was essentially a police war. We didn't do a good job of modifying military training and force structure to include police methods and measures. Soldiers aren't policemen, except when they are. In a U.S. city, about 2 policemen conduct detective work for every 4 police officers patrolling the streets. In Daly's battalion, 9 soldiers performed the intelligence gathering and detective tasks for 500 infantrymen. Daly describes how frustrating it was to patrol. In the second half of his book, about the winter of 2007, the tone of the book and the tide of the battle change. Local Sunnis commanded by former Iraqi army officers appeared at Daly's outpost, calling themselves Thawar al Anbar, and carrying notes of approval from a Marine battalion located outside the city. At first suspicious, Daly and the other beleaguered U.S. soldiers and Marines were quick to grasp the implication. Their greatest, most frustrating challenge was identifying the enemy hiding among the civilians outside the wire. Now Sunnis were offering to point them out. So vivid are Daly's descriptions that the reader can sense the tipping point and can anticipate that Al-Qaeda in Iraq will strike back savagely. What a tale Daly tells. You won't read this in textbook theories about counterinsurgency. Gradually, the insurgents lost the initiative. Incidents of violence in Al Anbar plummeted from more than 450 per month in late 2006 to fewer than 100 by mid-2007. U.S. fatalities in Anbar fell from 43% of the total in 2006 to 17% in 2007. From late 2006 onward, the coalition and Iraqi forces initiated a majority of the contacts in Al Anbar. The number of tips from the citizenry who sensed that Al-Qaeda was being driven out skyrocketed, while Sunni recruits for the police and the army, with assurances of assignment inside Al Anbar, exceeded the number of openings. General David Petraeus and Lieutenant General Raymond Odierno skillfully orchestrated the deployments of the U.S. surge forces. The crucial precondition for success was that the Sunnis were predisposed to greet the surge troops positively in 2007, which had not been the case in 2004. Al-Qaeda, resembling Robespierre's terror in 1792, had killed too many sheikhs, while empowering the criminal class and antagonizing the Sunni population. But the tribes weren't strong enough to push out Al-Qaeda on their own. So they turned to the strongest tribe, the U.S. military. The U.S. Sunni battlefield cooperation in Ramadi that Daly writes about spread across Iraq. Petraeus, who took command of all forces in Iraq in January 2007, used the awakening as the lever to flip over the war. In February 2007, he visited Ramadi and was impressed by the thousands of tribal Sunnis joining what the American High Command called emergency response units. Petraeus authorized U.S. commanders across Iraq to recruit similar